Hi everyone, welcome to the 2025 Natural Real Estate Wrap-Up of the Year. My name is Chris Henson, I head up the sales team. I'm joined by the fabulous Olivia Swan, she's a senior sales agent and has been with us for 10 years now. And the beautiful Nicole Tompkins, who heads up the leasing side of the business as well. I'm going to run through a few highlights, a few questions of the year. One question we get asked many times through the year is, how's the market going? So we're going to avoid that one. So the first question will come to you, Liv. Looking back at 2025, had its ups and downs, how would you sum up the market in one word?
Well, I will say first, I've been with you for 8 years, not 10 years.
Seems like 10, but thank you, Liv.
It feels like 100. To sum up the market in one word, it's tricky, but I would say one word would be inconsistent. The market has been so great in so many ways, in that some properties have been selling really quickly and they've been selling for really great prices, and then the next property just doesn't. And there's not much of a rhythm to the marketplace as to whether a home is going to sell well and sell quickly and sell high, and then the next one won't. So I've found it to be really inconsistent.
Is that based on location, do you think, or house to house?
House to house. Like I said before, there's not really a rhythm to it. The properties that might have a really cool or unique feature or is quite different from the rest of the marketplace are generally going pretty well. The properties that are similar to a lot of their neighbour homes are a little bit more challenging. But that being said, it's across the whole board of 3228 postcode. There is inconsistencies in our marketplace.
Big question, Liv, is price anything to do with it?
100%. Because
sure?
That's the thing, Chris, there's buyers around, and I think it's fair to say, and tell me if you disagree, but there's more buyers around this year than what there was last year. And so if a property isn't selling, it's not because it's not saleable. It's because we're having a misalignment with the marketplace, and that comes down to price. So if we can get that price right, we can sell our homes, we can sell them in a relatively quick fashion. But it's also just about that inconsistency of where prices were back in 2021, 2022, and maybe vendors still having that high expectations, whereas in reality, it's just not the market that we're in anymore. And
by vendors, we mean homeowners.
Homeowners, Yep, the people that sell their homes. Yeah, Would you agree with that as well?
I do. There's 100%, there's more buyers around this year and less properties for sale. So it is slightly more balanced than previous last couple of years. And so there's general good sentiment out there, if I can say that as well. So if you are looking to sell, there's buyers around for you. Yeah. Definitely. Appreciate that, Liv. Nicole, Chris, summarise in one word, if you may, 2025 from a property management point of view.
Well, I'd have to say one word would definitely be tight.
Okay.
But if you want two, competitive would be the other one. But yeah, we've got a really tight market in 3228. Obviously, that has a lot to do with demand or the lack of properties available.
Is that what you mean by tight? Just not many
very
properties
tight,
available?
Not enough properties for the people out there that are looking. In particular, 4-bedroom properties, larger properties for families, really hard to come by and really hotly contested when they are there.
Is that seasonal?
It does fluctuate, but it's pretty much all year round really for those types of properties. The 4-bedroom within the $750 to $900 range, there's just not enough of them around. And like I said, more families looking than anything. Another part of our market is share housing as well. Multiple renters, they want minimum of 3 to 5 bedrooms. So when one of those comes up, we have multiple share house applications.
Okay.
Obviously that helps with the affordability for the properties as well. They need a few people to pay the rent. So definitely a tight market.
And based on that, how have the rental prices gone this year?
Yeah, definitely high. Really high. I think we're up about 9.1% overall. So, yeah.
From start of the year? Or?
Yeah, just in the last, pretty much the start of the year. It's just increased.
You mentioned $900 a week before. Is that what a lot of properties are renting for right now? Because that to me seems really high.
That is high. And obviously you get a lot for your $900. We're talking about, beautiful homes, perhaps 2 living, 2 bathroom, 4 bedroom. But as far as the median price is $720
Wow.
in 3228 at the moment, which that's up 9.1%.
Yeah,
But in order to get your 4 bedrooms, obviously $750-ish would be an older home, but yeah, you definitely need to pay somewhere more likely with an 8 in front of it.
Wow.
It's fascinating to hear, Nicole, regarding the lack of properties for rent, because as an investor of a home, they're being charged more interest and there's more taxes on an investment home, more legislation is coming in, I know from our conversations, Nicole, which you may want to touch on as well. So it seems harder to be able to have an investment property now, but then there's a housing shortage for tenants. So it's pretty clear to me that there's something amiss there, but that's probably a different conversation, I would guess. But in terms of legislation, Nicole, how's that going?
Yeah, so we just had recent updates in the legislation, which is making it more difficult for a property owner to actually have their tenants vacated the property. We have longer notice periods that we have to allow. So it's gone from 60 days to 90 days, and that's across every reason for a notice to vacate. So if the property's going on the market, it's been sold, the owner wants to move in. So it obviously is making it sort of more tenant focused, more renter focused, to allow them more time with the market that we have in securing somewhere else to live, to try and avoid that, that they're homeless or they've got nowhere else to go. So
Sure.
They've extended the notices. So it's just, it has definitely made it more difficult for property owners to get back into their properties or to put them on the market.
Okay.
Which is interesting too, because from a sales agent's perspective, this last year, a lot of the properties I have been selling have been investment properties, because the owners are selling because maybe they can't afford it anymore, or maybe the rental laws are a bit too tight for them.
Look, it's definitely a major factor in the reasons behind people selling their homes at the moment. A lot of it is too, perhaps, the current home that they're in, they may have sold that, so they want to get into their home that they'd always intended to either retire to, or they wanted to move to the coast or whatever it might have been. So they have a need to get back into the property. But yeah, it's definitely across the board. There's definitely the legislation's a factor, like you were touched on, Chris. Just the Victorian legislation around tax and things like that has definitely had a major impact on why, a lot of rental properties are actually being sold, which obviously is the opposite effect of what was supposed to happen in the housing crisis. We were hoping that there would be benefits for renters, an increase in properties perhaps coming into the rental market, those sorts of things. But unfortunately, to date, we haven't seen that happen. We've actually seen the opposite effect.
It's interesting, isn't it, that, and you'll agree, Liv, that over 95% of our purchasers are homeowners.
Yes.
And not investors. I think land tax, that small thing of land tax being tripled, has certainly taken effect over the last couple of years and tightened up the market even further. So, all right, we get the general gist of it's tighter, it's stronger, and it's actually probably a good time to buy an investment property because the rentals are strong.
Yeah, you can get a tenant in there and you can get a tenant in there at a pretty high price.
Absolutely. And what is on the market is actually renting very quickly. So we don't have vacancy rates. We don't have any real turnaround time. So when a property's vacated, we literally are moving people in well and truly within a 2-week period. We have pretty much no lengthy vacancy rates whatsoever, unless it's for a specific reason. But yeah, that's the thing. It's actually a strong rental market because there are so many people looking that if you did have an investment property, it would rent really well.
There's a guy that a few of you may know called Warren Buffett. I think he does okay for himself. And he said, buy when people are selling and sell when people are buying. So again, might be a good time. This certainly isn't a pitch. It's just what's happening at the moment in the market as well. All right, appreciate that. Moving on. Highlights. We'll come back to Liv. You've had many highlights. I know that from working together so closely all year. It's been a really strong year for you, and congratulations on that as well. As you say, the market's been a bit up and down, but what we see is cream rises, can I say, and you've been strong all the way through. But I'd love to get to know a few of your highlights, Liv.
Thanks, Chris. That was nice. My biggest highlight this year would be a property I sold in Jan Juck in Torquay Lane, and it was a highlight for a couple of reasons. One, it was the highest sale price of a campaign that I've led. So it sold for around $5.5 million. And I've been a part of many of those campaigns, but this was the first one in my 10-year career that I actually led that campaign. And so that was such an achievement and felt really special. But the best part about it was the clients of Toad Hall Lane, I'd sold for them before. So when they called me in to sell their house, naturally I was excited and nervous as well. But the feeling I got from them, our relationship was just so special, and we were so aligned on a friendship level but also a business level. And it was one of the best campaigns I've ever ran from start to finish in terms of my processes. So I was really proud of myself. It was fun. And it was also everyone in my office or our office was so stoked for me to win that business.
For sure. Yeah.
And that made me feel so special too, that I was stoked with myself, but to also have my peers around me really celebrating me from the start to the finish. And even now, that settled months and months ago, but we're still, you're still excited for me, and I'm still excited for myself. So that was definitely a career highlight and a year highlight.
Well done. And you mentioned process. So I know at Natural Real Estate we are very process driven. It's more of a roadmap for our clients, whether it be a rental provider, and we said landlord, but rental provider there as well, or a vendor or a home seller as well. Because we like to give roadmaps because it can be anxious, it can be nervous, selling a home, renting a home for the first time as well. So a roadmap or a process just allows us to let them know every single step along the way what's coming next, because that then reduces stress if we know what's coming next. And Liv, I know you did a special job with those guys as well, because it didn't sell in a week, it didn't sell in 2 weeks.
It wasn't necessarily easy.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is that I did have that roadmap, as you said, and it was built between Sean, our director, and Terry, who's our marketing manager. So she worked a lot on this campaign with me, and we built it together. But the thing with these homeowners is that they listened. So every time Sean, Terry and I made a suggestion about, hey, we should do this or we should pivot, they said, sure, Liv, whatever you reckon, we trust you. And obviously that trust was built over a couple of years because I've sold for them before, but it gave me the freedom to do my job properly, and it made me feel really empowered throughout the campaign, which then by the end of the campaign, we had a ripper result. So it worked out for all of us.
It's actually sold above the price guide, so well done, Liv.
Yes, thank you.
That was amazing. Quick shout out to... Sorry, you go.
Can I just ask, was there something special or particular about the campaign that you feel stands out, or something that sort of triggered the result?
I really believed in the home, and the owners really believed in it, and we picked up on that together. But I think it's difficult for me to articulate because it was more of an energy and a feeling. I really genuinely care for the people that owned that home, and they cared for me too. And, every time we would see each other, they were professionals, business owners within our community. But every time we saw each other, we gave each other a cuddle. Yeah, and it was just, it wasn't just a business transaction for me, it was a relationship. And the people that bought it are also really beautiful people. And now the owners and the buyers are now friends and have been out for dinner together, and that's really nice too. So I know that doesn't really answer your question, but it was just more of a feeling I had throughout the process.
It's a great question, Nicole, because it is important as well. I was just going to give a shout out to our marketing and PR manager, Terry. Woo! She is the best in the business. She puts together some amazing bespoke marketing and gets on the front of Domain Melbourne numerous times. She is sensational, but don't tell her.
Very imaginative.
The marketing she put together for Toad Hall was
amazing.
Insane. Yeah, really good.
It was really good.
Yep. It was an incredible property, but just the marketing around it just really stood out. It was incredible. Yep.
And she was able to get a lot of free editorial, which it's not easy to do that for people that aren't in the industry. It's a really hard thing to do, and she did it. She does it really well.
Almost worldwide.
Yeah. Worldwide, Terry.
People. All right, Nicole, be good to get some highlights from you, please.
Yeah, so we had some really positive feedback, some really positive results throughout the year. As far as our leasing throughout 3228, we were equal first in leasing properties in the first and second quarter, which is a pretty big achievement for our company compared to the size of other property management departments in the area. So that was really amazing. And then we were equal first in the third quarter. So it's looking pretty good for the fourth. So we're pretty excited.
Well done.
So our performance in the market has been, pretty impressive. So we're really, really proud of it. But also just feedback from, in particular, one renter gave us a lovely Google review. And the main thing that we loved about it, obviously, that we assisted, we helped her find the right property, all of those nuts and bolts of property management, which is what we do. But the core of her review was that she felt like we cared and that we were genuinely wanting to help and that we were, kind and compassionate. And that's something that we really strive for. We're not just looking to turn over, we're dealing with people's lives, like it's important to us to property match, to property match the right property and, just to really give that extra, like the care that we put into our service as well as, like I said, just the nuts and bolts of it. So the main thing for us out of that was she genuinely said that she thought we cared about her, which was amazing. And she had difficult circumstances as well. So that was really lovely to hear.
It's really good, Nicole, because the way the world at the moment, people love to give feedback when it's not great, but it's nice to hear good feedback. Okay, if it's feedback that isn't great, we can do something about it, but at the same time we're human and it's nice to hear nice feedback sometimes as well. And, all three of us sat around here know the core values within our business at Natural Real Estate. Okay, we're living in a transactional industry, working in transactional industry, but it's the people first. And one of our core values being vendor first, or home seller and rental provider first, and then team after that, and then individual after that. And we absolutely live by it, and we don't go far wrong many times.
We really focus on our renters as well. We can't, it's not a successful relationship with your rental provider if you don't have a strong relationship with your renter. So we just don't focus on the one side, the people that are paying our wages. We focus on, it's important for the whole experience, to have a great relationship with a renter will ensure that the rental provider has a good experience as well. So we really focus on communicating with our renters and making sure that they know that if there's an issue, they can come to us. We can solve something before it's even become a problem, and just open the communication both ways. So, and we did receive an amazing Google review from one of our rental providers as well. So, like I said, the service from both sides is really important.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And as an industry, we all know that real estate hasn't got the best reputation overall, and I think I'm safe in saying that. But when you dig in and hopefully listen to this and other conversations between real estate companies, that we are human also as well, and we care for humans. It's not just transactional. It's not until you really start digging in to the people that work within our business. Can't really talk about others, but our business, that we're human, we care as well.
And this is our community too. We're homeowners and we're renters, and some of us are rental providers as well. So we're on the other side of it too. And I think that's when that can really translate, when a tenant has to move out because the owner's selling, we feel that discomfort that takes place, but how can we make it as easy as we possibly can for both sides? And
as you said, your connection and your relationship with your clients of Toad Hall, that was something that was the key to how successful that went. And it's exactly the same in property management.
Yes.
The personal relationship and the connection that we have with the renters strengthens our relationship with our rental providers. So,
thank you. And by the way, I get cuddles sometimes from my clients.
Do you?
Yeah, it's not just Liv. So you're not by yourself.
I'm not by myself.
No, I get that good service. I get cuddles. All right, Liv, you said it's been a bit inconsistent this year. What are some of the challenges you're seeing? If I can just mention one, that is interest rates. So the sentiment around that as well, and how that affects the market, both up and down. What have you found, Liv, this year?
Because of the inconsistencies, we've come into a market where previously the market was declining, and that seemed to stop this year. It seemed to stabilise. And then we had months where the market would improve, and then we'd have months where the market went backwards again. And so working with homeowners that might be listening to the news, or maybe their neighbour just sold for an amazing price, but that's just not relevant today, having to explain to our owners the reality of the market that we're in at this second, that has probably been one of the biggest challenges, because it's been changing day to day. And we've come from, say, since COVID time, let's say since 2020, the market was going up, and so that was consistent. And then the market started to decline, and that was consistent. And now it's all over the place. And so it's the challenging part is, how do we best explain to our owner what's happening in real time right now? Not based on what happened yesterday and not based on what might happen tomorrow. It's what's happening right now. And we do a lot of discussions within our sales team about how can we best explain this to our owners so that we can actually help them move. At the end of the day, they've employed us to move. So how can we help them do that? And it's about being able to explain what's really happening in actual fact.
It's a good point you raised there, Liv, because we're on the coalface. We're doing this every single day. Media reports are often 3 months behind because they're collecting data should I say. They're collecting data from past sales, and they've already been and gone, and the market's moved on. So I can fully respect and appreciate where homeowners are struggling to find information that relates to them directly, but we are ahead of the game, and we should be ahead of the game, because this is what we're doing every single day. And the market is often based on sentiment, and sentiment means what's the media saying. Are they saying it's a good time to buy? Are they saying hang on? Are they saying it's not a good time to buy? And of course that's going to influence people as well.
And it makes it difficult. The media generalise a market that is not comparable to the market that we work in, and it's the same with rentals. Whenever there's a news story in the media about something to do with property management, it automatically can create the wrong impression, whether it be with a rental provider or a renter. They focus on big cities a lot of the time, which our market is, obviously, clearly totally different. So, I think it's the same with property management. If we've got to just make sure that we're giving them the right message, that they're, we're educating them in the circumstances that will get a result for their particular property.
And it's nuanced too. What might be happening to properties on Mary Jig Drive could be very different to what's happening to properties on the Esplanade, to properties that's happening on Broadbeach and Jan Jark. And so it's each individual property is very different from the last, and each homeowner or rental provider that live in those properties, their situation is very different from the last too. So it needs to be a tailored approach and a tailored explanation as to what we're seeing, being boots on the ground. We're the ones talking to buyers and renters day in, day out. We're the ones doing open homes. What's actually happening, not just that big picture, like what you commented on before, Nicole.
You're right, Liz. Within 3228 postcode, there's easily 10 different price pockets.
Yeah.
Never mind from Jan Jark to Torquay. Within Torquay, there's 5-6 different price pockets as well, and depending on what people are looking for as well. Thank you, Liv. Appreciate that. Nicole, any challenges? I'm sure you haven't had any challenges this year.
We touched on it a little bit earlier, just the legislation, the new legislative changes that came out. Just our challenge is just to make sure that our rental providers are well educated, they understand the new changes, the new restrictions. We had conversations very early on in the year, just prepping everyone and making sure that they had a really good understanding of what it would mean for them, and also for our renters as well. A lot of questions were sort of raised from their perspective. What does this mean for me? Especially if their lease wasn't renewed, that can create a lot of instability and concern. So am I going to be given a notice to vacate now? What does that mean? Just a lot of explanation and just open communication, just to make sure that everyone didn't feel daunted or overwhelmed with the new changes that have come in. And I think we've navigated that really well. So it started off as a challenge, and it was something that it takes a lot of time, and we put a lot of time and energy into it, making sure that we did communicate. So that paid off. So
Nicole, you've understated what you've done there. You've done a sensational job of letting everybody know, and it coming back to what I said earlier about a roadmap, and the unknowns can be stressful, build anxiety as well. But you and yourself and your team have been so clear with how people can go about things this year. So well done, because I know it's a bit of a minefield.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, we just put a lot of importance in respecting the fact that it's people's personal lives. We are running a business, and we're doing really well at it, but also the personal side of it, and the questions around what's going to happen with the legislation is impactful on their life. So we just really made sure that we, like I said, educated and informed them just to make sure that there wasn't any real concern or, they felt stable and they understood. So, like I said, it started as a challenge, but we've navigated it really well and it all came in quite smoothly.
Great job. Great job.
What was your challenge?
I didn't have any.
No,
it's
perfect.
No, personal challenge, and it turned out like yourself, Nicole. We went through a few changes in the business for the positive. From a personal point of view, took on a slightly different role as well within the business, which is looking after the sales team, which is an absolute breeze. Because
no big personalities.
No big personalities. And coming back to that though, actually, again, it's, we're renowned as a business for ego, especially in the sales team, but we just don't have that ego issue in natural real estate, and that helps us work as a team, and therefore the service is better to our clients. But coming back to it is something that I was striving for. Sean opened up the pathway. Sean's the owner of the business, opened up the pathway for me to be able to move and do that. My main job is still selling homes, and that's what I love, and helping people find a new home and solving that problem for them. But I also enjoy helping people strive to what they want to strive to. We've all got different goals and wants really from our work life, and how do we blend that, not balance, but how do we blend that into our home lives as well. And it's just good working through that and helping. So that's been, it started a challenge, but it's been a real win. A lot of satisfaction out of doing that as well. And overall, it's been a good year. I'd go with you, Liv, and it's helping educate people selling at the moment to what's happening in the market, because it's really hard for them to understand what's happening right here and now. But we're trained to get through that. We work hard to be able to explain that to the homeowners. But that's been it, really. It's been a great year.
And it's, if I can say, it's been great you moving into your managing role, because we worked together, for 7.5 years? Yeah, 30 years. 7.5 years maybe, something like that.
8 years, yeah.
You're a salesperson through and through, and that's always going to be your priority, to be looking after the people that appoint you to sell their homes. But I think watching you over the years, you did have more to give, and now you've been able to channel that into helping the sales agents within our office. And for me, and I work really closely with Kelly Papworth in our office, and it's been such a great support for Kel and I to know that we can call you and say, what do you reckon about this? Or how would you approach that? And your mindset's always been like what you mentioned before, it's vendor and landlord or rental provider first. And the advice that you've always provided me has been in alignment with the advice that I wanted to hear as well. And so that's nice that we've got a team that feeds off each other, I suppose, in a really healthy dynamic.
Thank you,
it's been
Liv.
good. It's been nice to watch you step into that and feel really empowered in your role.
Appreciate you saying that. I'm glad I mentioned it now.
Yeah.
But thank you. All right. Last one. Crystal ball moment. I'm going to start with you now, Nicole. What is going to happen in the property management world for 2026?
Much of the same. It's already becoming quite clear. We're coming up to our flat period over, the Christmas period. So not many properties coming into the market, not many properties coming online. We have a bit of a flat spot, but the inquiry is still there. We've still got a lot of people out there looking for their new home. We do have a lot of people obviously coming into the area for new contracts starting in the new year, all of those sorts of things. So 2026 is going to see a continuation of a tight market, a lot of demand, and unfortunately, just not enough supply. Okay. I'd have to touch on Jan Juc being a very hotly contested market as far as when a home becomes available in Jan Juc. We would love another 30 homes in Jan Juc become available very quickly. It's obviously a lifestyle, a beautiful lifestyle. People want to move to, closer to the beach, all of those sorts of things. It feels, like that laid back, surfy lifestyle. It's just a really hotly contested market. So, 2026 will be much of the same.
Thanks, Nicole. Liv?
I think we'll move into more of a stable market. Like I said before, it's been inconsistent, but we've had highs and lows in the market, and I think it'll become a little bit more stable next year. In some ways, stability can be it might come across as though there's not as much happening, but I think that'll actually be good for sellers and buyers to know what they're in for when they're moving into a transaction.
What do you mean by stability, Liv?
Well, less of the unknown. You know, for an owner, the thought of, is my house going to sell? Hopefully that won't be a thought anymore. It will sell, and it'll sell in this time frame, and you'll probably get X price. You know, to have that stability, I think will be good. I would say prices aren't going to necessarily skyrocket, and I don't think they're necessarily going to drop either. It's all a crystal ball, but at this stage, I think we'll see that stability. Would you agree, or do you have different thoughts?
No, I'm with you on that one. A lot's based on interest rates. I find that the Australian real estate market is very fickle. And what I mean by that is that if there's some good news, people jump on the bandwagon, irrelevant of what's happening out there in the economy. Rates have gone down, so let's buy a property. Or then rates are going up, the economy could be okay, but it's not a good time to buy because rates are going up. And it just doesn't take much to sway either side. And so now what I hear and believe from the experts is that interest rates probably be on hold for next year. So I agree that stability, people know what they can afford. They're not going to go up, they're not going to go down. So if they're comfortable buying at that sort of price level and that debt ratio, then they're probably just going to go for it without much change. So I fully agree with you, Liv. Thank you. Wonderful ladies.
Thank you.
That's been great to have a chat today and finding out a bit more about your thoughts and highlights and challenges and wins for the year. Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody for listening to the 2025 Natural Real Estate Review.